start.
So good morning all. Thank you for being present in this webinar, which is the first webinar we are celebrating on this 2024. As some of you know, this is part of the UNECE Working Party on Land Administration program, 2-year program, 2023-2025. And it is part of this study we are developing on ecosystems and security in land administration. So our idea is to link these two ideas, the ecosystems and the security, based on the fact that technology and digitalization is part of our day-to-day world nowadays, and that this technology and digitalization has already been part of the transformation from the data in paper to data in digital. However, this also implies introducing or modernizing processes in the different systems. This modernization has risen many issues regarding security. So we have divided this idea of security between different ideas. One is tenure security, in which we had a workshop the previous November. The other one is data security, which we will be developing forward, and then system security, which is the one that we are studying today. So this study of security will face the different factors and the different people that can be affected by this security, which is individuals, is also the regions, is also the nations, and so in the end, all of the environment of land administration. So today, as I was saying, we will be studying system security, which can be defined as that security that refers to the overall vulnerabilities of the information systems of land administration authorities, both in terms of design and users. So today we are going to see this system security using the case of two countries. One is Cyprus, and the other one is Spain. And I then would like to hear the comments of the audience as well, if they have more cases or comments on the ideas that our speakers are going to give us. So on the first place, we will be having the case of Cyprus, for which we have invited Mr. Neoklis. Thank you so much for being with us. Mr. Neoklis is a Vice Director of the Department of Lands and Service of Cyprus, as well as the head of all IT operations and projects. Beyond his managerial duties in the top of managerial team, he leads and consults the government in the design and implementation and maintenance of large-scale IT projects. Major emphasis is given to digital transformation and innovation initiatives, with a recent focus on e-government solutions as well as major core IT upgrade implementations. So, as we can see, he's a well-known person on this issue, and we are willing to hear what he has to tell us on Cyprus case. So please, Neoklis, the floor is yours.
Okay, just a second. So just tell me if everything is okay with my sharing and you can hear me.
Yeah, all great.
So you can see the presentation correctly?
Correctly, first slide.
Okay, I will be very brief in the beginning. I've already talked in the last conference about Cyprus. Just for those who don't know about the Department of Lands and Service, just a few slides. We're an old department of the government, title-based system, as I already told you, and something that makes us unique around the globe and Europe is that we have everything under one umbrella. All aspects of property are under one umbrella, under one cadastre and land registry. So this is very important for us. Just to let you know how big we are and how IT dependent we are, we have about 900 employees, 750 are mainly users of IT, and Cyprus and the Department of Lands and Services spread in various cities. We have 6 district land offices and 10 separate buildings, which makes things much more difficult. So we operate a unified and multi-purpose cadastre, and as we said, everything is under an umbrella. So something that affects everybody, and I have to make a note on this because it affects cybersecurity, we take very seriously what goes on around us. from the economic environment, the regulatory, the technology is something that I will mention later on down the road. But it's very important to understand what goes on with the war nearby in Israel, with the Russian war on Ukraine. A lot of changes are going through the regulatory framework, and as well as in the cybersecurity framework with the NISA directives, different directives, NIS especially. Technology is very important, and we're going to see down the road. There's AI coming. A lot of old systems are still around, and the customer is very important. I mean, customers nowadays, I mean, we need to treat them differently. They demand end-to-end frictionless journeys, which these are being affected by cybersecurity itself and the solutions we give. So, of course, we know that a lot of us have gone remotely, and this affects our business. We believe we do have a niche. We are very IT dependent, but we have a strong IT presence throughout the government for many years. We have a very good integrated cluster, and we believe we have a niche. We are approaching 100% digitalization, and of course, data is our strategic asset. And as the managerial team, and they are present here today as well with me, we are very proud of having a strong vision on moving forward with technology, and we are not afraid of embracing change. And we do understand what change is all about and how we're going to solve it and how we're going to approach it. And we are very proud of our system of security we have inside the cadastre for more than 150 years. Our title system, as far as tenure goes and as far as the IT security, we believe we are very strong on that. Our latest projects, I mean, we've been performing and implementing large-scale IT projects the last years and for many years now. But the recent project, we have concluded 3 major mass valuation projects lately. Our dealers portal, we're going to see it down the road. And of course, the latest upgrade of our GIS system has been completed last year. And we are now getting ready to go on an upgrade on our big core system, our legal and fiscal system that will take us down the road the next 4 years of an upgrade. So these are large-scale IT projects, and it shows the importance we show on security day by day in the department. Our portal is becoming very big, and this is it's a major concern for us. It's been serving in the last, you can see the statistics here, and I will be very brief on this. 2023, we had 200,000 electronic applications filed through the dealers portal, 24 hours a day open, and the big thing on us is our map navigation, our GIS navigation on the map, 10 million hits from outside to the department. So I think this is a major concern, and this makes our business very serious. And of course, all these rely, we believe, beyond our history and our strong foundation as a title system, and as a strong department on data, on processes, on infrastructure, and of course on human resources. These are all blended together, and we give special attention on this in order to complete our digital transformation plans for the future, current and the future as well. So this was a brief discussion about our department. Obviously, we've seen this before together in the presentation. So we go into the subject of today, which is cybersecurity. I just want to share with you some terms and facts in order to be all on the same place, because there's some things some people know, maybe something some people are not aware, because it's a new thing. We all hear it, but I will give just a brief explanation as well on some terms. So when we refer to the term cyber, we talk about both information and communication networks. And just a brief notion on what we say when we talk about cybersecurity. And this is a term, I mean, you can find it on GitHub, on anywhere. You can see that cybersecurity is that practice which is designed to protect our systems, our networks, and of course our data from risks, especially cyber attacks. So I think this is very important for us to be aware of the term, what we mean about cybersecurity. And some other important terms I would like to share with you is what we talk about when we speak about threats and vulnerabilities. And these are very important to understand as well. So threats is an event that could cause a potential cause of asset loss, and it could be data. And it could come from a threat, and the threat could be a person, could be a group, organization, it could be even a government. There's threats from government to government. I mean, now in the war, there's many threats from Russia to Ukraine. There's many threats in Israel. So you have to be aware of all this. It is very important. Important terms you have to also note is because when you face an attack, a lot of people discuss different things, and there's a lot of misconception about what is an event, what is an incident, what is a breach. So is an event, something happens, so something occurs, you observe something in your system. We have to be aware of this. Like in our case, we had, and we're going to discuss it later on, we had traffic for a month on our system. This was the event. And then the incident occurred when you actually realize there is some kind of violation on your system. A breach is more clear. You have a breach on your system, and actually attackers have achieved to enter your system with their malicious intent, and there's a significant security failure. I'm not going to teach you a lot of terms today, but it is important to have this in mind in order to make things much easier. I'm not going to go down to explain you what type of cyber attacks there are and different types of threats. I'm going to leave that for the questions later on. But these are very important for you to know as well some other facts. So we sometimes we talk about security and it's not part of our culture because we think is something that happens only in the movies, or it happens like it is in the movies. So you have to understand that we don't talk about always, we talk about bad guys or about technology. You have to note this. And the important thing for you to understand is that 70% of these breaches may come within the organization. And of course, 99% of the attacks, and these are well-known statistics and late statistics, that are like very opportunistic and random and not specifically targeted, especially towards the government. So hackers, you have to understand that they know we have protection on our systems. They know very well, and they always try to find the loopholes to go in. So we have to be aware of these important facts. And of course, and the most important thing I want to share with my experience and our experience as a department, you have to understand that cybersecurity is a never-ending, ongoing journey. It's a new culture. We have to face it. We cannot avoid it. So we do have our systems, new systems every day. We are adding systems. A lot of things are coming nowadays with the social media. We are adding applications. All these people outside, the hackers, they always want to hack something new. And of course, they know that we have old things and they still want to hack them. We have to be aware what goes on. And you have to also note that the hacker community collaborates a lot among each other, and they do share their victims' vulnerabilities. And I can tell you that the market out there, because it is a market in the hackers community, is very strong. So obviously, it's very dangerous because we all have aborted on digital transformation initiatives the last years. And obviously, after the pandemic, it's been going very fast. Technology has come along 5 years earlier. So obviously, the adoption of new IT systems and services is a one-way road for all cadastres, for all land registries, and for all organizations. So things are getting more difficult. We have to be aware. So what I know from my experience, you are looking at many systems from different land administrations and walking around Europe and the US as well. I mean, obviously, you have to understand there's a lot of old systems in land administrations today and in land organizations, and a lot of old, what we call old legacy systems that have not been upgraded. So this is a fact. And there's a lot of fragmentation into these systems, a lot of silos, different technologies, usually cadastres and land registries, they add on these technologies. So if they want to have a web participation, they just build a new web platform, but they keep their old fragmented system in the back, in the core. So these make it difficult when you come nowadays to inform policies and decide on your cybersecurity strategy. So this is very important for you to know. So cybersecurity is still not yet part of the culture of the management in most cases. And it's a new thing. And unless there is an event, nobody believes there's a problem. And obviously, a lot of departments, they have their IT separated. It's not part of their management. Usually it's from vendors outside. And that can cause problems itself. And of course, there's a lack of skills in the community on the information security part. There's a lot of lack of skills nowadays. It's a new industry. There's a new people coming in from the universities. So the industry still lacks a lot of personnel on this. And of course, as I said, the infrastructure in the beginning, there's new things and difficult to implement nowadays because of the old technology we use. And of course, of the fact that a lot of the land administrations are not proactive. So they don't have intelligence. They cannot have monitoring techniques. There's a lot of new laws they have to follow. And of course, there's a lot of investment. It costs money, and it's new. So there's a lot of land administrations are not willing to yet to put the money down. And of course, it's not up to, when you ask a lot of people, it's not yet up to the money involved, but it's still up to a lot of practical problems, and it's not a high priority in the management today. So you can follow, there is in Europe, ENISA is doing a very good job, which is responsible around Europe. And you can go around and look at the bulletins. They come out every month. They give a lot of important facts in security. And this is lately, the last month, and they've been talking a lot about activity in Israel and in the Russian environment. And they analyze daily, and they share facts, and you can see that there's a upward trend the last 2 months, especially on ransomware and the DDoS attack. I mean, is very dangerous, and it's been there for many months now, and in most countries of Europe. These are official stats, and you can see, and this is very worrying, is that the public administration, you can see that the incidents per sector in the public administration compared to the private sector are very high. So be aware, we are working on the government sector, so we have to be aware of what goes on in Europe every day. So now, sharing our case, I touched briefly on the last meeting we had. So our incident is becoming 1 year old now. It happened on the 8th of March. So 8th of March, we have been informed, and it all started in the night, and we had a cyber attack, a cyber incident. So what we faced, just to give you a notion of what happened, we had an incident on our DLS portal, and we've been notified by our vendor that one of our servers was locked. So after that, I have to admit, it was panic in the first place. Although we have a lot of an IT presence for many years, we are very organized, still we had to go down and see where is the plan, who is the leader, how do we start? So we entered into this room and we started thinking. So what went on, it was very critical. So we had to take a lot of measures, and you're going to see them now. I'm going to explain what happened. But the first thing you do when you have an incident, the first thing is that you close down everything. So this is what we have done. So we have closed down our DLS portal immediately. That happened within 10 to 15 minutes, which is very extraordinary. So we had to shut down our servers. And then we took the decision that we had to shut down precautionary everything that had to do with IT in the department. So pretty much think, since the first day we have operated as a cadastre 150 years ago, we have never shut one day the department. So at this moment, the department, as far as IT, was shut. So everything happened was precautionary, and this was actually the official protocol of the government. And a lot of people have visited our office from the first night, and then we started from there, meetings on meetings, and we started going forward with different stakeholders, us, the police, the Digital Security Authority of Cyprus, the vendors. So we all gathered in one room. So what happens when you face an attack, irrespective of what an attack is? When you face an attack and there is a lockdown on your server, especially, and you don't know what it is, you don't know what you're facing, so you start doing, after your system is down, you start doing your forensics. You want to make sure to understand what goes on. It's a very difficult process. I hope you don't go through it. It's a very difficult process. And then you have to give, if there is a breach and you realize there's a breach, then there's a lot of technical issues you have to face in order to give first aid on your systems and start preparing of what goes on. So the first aid went on, various meetings, and I'm going to show you down the road what went on. Obviously, it needs to be a plan. And I have to admit that we have a plan to address everything that has to do with IT in the department and faults and different vulnerabilities. Of course, there was no formal plan regarding cybersecurity, but it does not differ much from your the plan you follow to address different issues. But obviously, cybersecurity has different things you have to note at the end of the day, which are very important. And of course, you have to address down how you're going to recover from your injury. This is very important. It's an incremental process. And one of the major things you have to worry about is you have to worry whether the hacker is in your system, whether he entered and he's in. And if he's in, after you start your recovery process, you make sure he's out. So you have to understand, you have to find traces. If you find traces, so there's a lot of things involved that may take time. So a lot of people have come to my office. So we had to lead as a department. I had to lead a whole group of individuals. Many of them, of course, they had more expertise than me. But at the end of the day, I was asked what I called, and they told me the $1 million question. So it was on a scale. We had to decide how secure we wanted to be and how fast we wanted to recover. The first indications that came in, they were talking about 6 months. So a lot of people were acting being safe. So if you want to be safe, we had to recover in 6 months. Yes, but we have closed down our offices. There was a lot of demand from the public, so there was a lot of demand from inside of the organization. We had to go back online. We had to go back live with our offices. So this was a big decision we have to take. And of course, we needed to do our forensics, because going fast and doing a lot of things fast and without a plan, you might erase traces. So it was like when the police faces a murder case, it's a similar situation, but in IT. So you can understand how difficult it was. So what I learned, there's a lot of lessons learned. So there's a lot of lessons learned because there's a lot of decisions you have to take during cybersecurity incident. And the major difference here is that none of your decisions, you cannot make mistakes. A single mistake can ruin your plan after a month, and you can go back again from the beginning. So these are very serious stuff, and it's a serious disaster management process that you have to address. And there's a lot of things you have to align, and you need very strong procedures. You need people who can take decisions, and usually decisions are not taken by many people. I can tell you now that the most important and critical aspect of the incident is communication. You have to communicate what you're doing, and you have to communicate it correctly, even within the organization, even outside the organization. So communication is essential. You have to have somebody who is explaining inside and outside what goes on. Communication can either lead to failure or to success. So it's very important for you to communicate what goes on during an incident and how you are facing it. You are facing the public. So your communication strategy is very important. You have to convince and prove that there were no data breaches. The public is on your lap and is on your face the whole time. You have to understand that we are very critical infrastructure. We deal with property. We are responsible for the property of the country. So this is very huge. You can understand how the economy is affected from our decisions, how the economy is affected from being closed down for more than a day. So this was very important. We have 1,000 employees. It was very important. It's a large IT infrastructure. It was the first time we experienced something like that. So we had to make sure that we had business continuity coming back online. So our experience, I will share with you what went on. And it's very important for you to understand. Usually, and it's something that we face today, when we talk about cybersecurity, we think it's a technical issue. I can assure you, all of you, that cybersecurity is not a technical issue. It's a business issue. So keep this in mind, and in the discussion we go have later on. The technical solutions that you can put in place, either post-incident, either pre-incident, they are pretty much standard. But the most critical decisions you have to take are business-related. You have to give business-related decisions because the technical guys are going to be on the safe side, and they're going to all the time telling you, oh, we're going to have to look at this and this. So keep this in mind, that when you have to go from theory to practice on an incident, the business decisions you're going to take are very critical. On our case, hackers they did not aim our data. So luckily, we closed down quickly. It was a DDoS attack. They didn't go inside the data. So they just wanted to hold our operations because we are critical. And obviously, these would affect our image. So that's why we took many business decisions in order to recover quickly. Obviously, we've done some things very well, and we've been highly prepared for a long time. And the hackers didn't succeed, I would say, on the first time. After this, we had to face 2 administrative procedures. I have to let you know, because the post-incident, there was a lot of things that came along, a lot of questionnaires. So we had to face a procedure with the government, with the Digital Security Authority of Cyprus. We went through an administrative procedure that we had to answer a lot of questions. We were we almost not threatened, but we could have faced serious penalties in case of the procedures not being followed, both at the DSA level and with the GDPR Commission. So we are still answering questions, a lot of legal consequences after the event, and we are still facing this today. So the result, I believe overall we were prepared, but we can do more. So of course we need improvements. We need to follow what goes on in our environment today. We need to follow the NIS directive, and obviously we need to be more prepared. And I will say what goes on now, you're going to see it, how we need to prepare. There's a lot of work to be done, following the law and following the procedures of the European Union. Obviously, we've been lucky. We've done well. The first office opened incrementally. In the first 7 days, we opened back operations in the first office incrementally with a minimum amount of jobs. And we started from there, opening every other day a different office. And this was an incremental approach. Our DLS portal came back after 1 month because it was a more difficult process. We had to rebuild our DLS portal from the disaster recovery side. And of course, we have changed a lot on our DLS portal. We have elevated the security, and we still have problems today with people complaining about this security elevation. So it's something we're going to discuss, of course, during the discussion later on. What I can tell you now, and this is my advice, is obviously when we talk about security, customer service and customer satisfaction, and how secure we need to be, because I'm always asked this question, how secure you need to be. There needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance between security and your operations. Answering this question is difficult. I cannot tell you the correct balance, but obviously you need to be safe than sorry, but you cannot jeopardize your security. Nobody will give you an answer which is the balance, and this is the most critical question. The management and usually the chief security officer with the management and the directors need to answer. It's not an easy task to answer this question. My advice, and I gave you this advice from before, is that since all cadastres and land registries, they are considered critical infrastructure, there's a lot of work, guys, you need to do, and you need to be proactive. It takes time. All these security and technical changes and business changes take years, so you need to start today. So when we talk about cybersecurity, you have to understand that cybersecurity is not the term that you need to worry about nowadays. So I think the most important thing, and we have to switch it on WPLA as well, something we need to understand, that we talk about cyber resilience. We need to be cyber resilient, and we don't talk about cyber security anymore. So what is cyber resilience? Cyber resilience, I mean, when you look at it, it involves different things. You need your incident response plans, you need your disaster recovery plan, you need what we call a business continuity plan. So you need to start today. BCP, I think, is the solution. You need to do it, and you need to start. So I think I have put this image, and it's quite funny, but it's been shared with me, and I was allowed to use it from Fortinet. Fortinet is one of the biggest company on the field nowadays. And I thought this encompass everything we understand about cybersecurity. So the way forward is because cybersecurity is a new thing. Please, let's not have a false sense of security, because as you see there, you might have the best security on your bike there, and somebody can take your bike and leave the tire there with the locks on the cage, and this is usually happens. So what we need to focus, I think, nowadays forward, and there's many models, there's many things you can use. There's a lot of ready-made, let's say, there's a lot of research on what you can do. There's a lot of things ready out there for you to use as models going forward. So usually when we talk about models, and these are very typical models you can find out there on GitHub and on EU and are part of the strategy, they talk about people, technology, and processes. I think these three pillars are the most important pillars of cybersecurity today. And of course, this is another model which talks. It's called the CIA model. It has nothing to do with the CIA, and this is very funny. But it comes with it's a model that talks about availability, integrity, and the confidentiality of information. So this is a ready-made model you can acquire and use when you start your journey with cybersecurity. This model is part of the ISO standard, so you have to keep it in mind. And of course, it's part of the GDPR already, the Article 32 itself. And it talks about the confidentiality and how you should protect information and who can get access and all these things related to it. The importance of data and its integrity. And of course, how do we make our data available? How is it possible? What things we have to know about having this secure? These are models you can use. So ending up, I said that the road forward, I think the only road forward is developing a cybersecurity strategy within your organization. You cannot live without it. So please make sure that you develop your business continuity plan. I think it's very important. When we talk about business continuity plan, it does not concentrate on technical aspects. It will concentrate on people, on processes. So it's a new process. So you can see the BCP I think, is the heart of going forward for any land administration. It allows for improved security. It will address every complexity. You will have to do various things in order to adapt to these new threats and challenges. And of course, how do you optimize your resources? What do? You bring a vendor in. Obviously, it's a work that you cannot do it alone. So in case you don't develop your business continuity plan, and I will end with this, I think this is very critical. Obviously, you can suffer from service disruptions, data loss in case you have an event. So there's a lot of legal and regulatory non-compliance, because nowadays, I don't know if you're aware, we are obliged through the law since 2016, and I don't know in your country at which level it is, but obviously we need to follow the NIS directive, and the security authorities in every country are very strict on this. They are allowed to post penalties on organizations, and they are becoming very strict. And obviously, as I told you in the beginning, unless you follow certain rules and be very strong on the cybersecurity aspect, there's a lot of economic impact on your organizations. This is something that it was published 4 months ago from the FBI director himself. He said this. I thought it was quite funny, but very distinct. He said that there are two types of organizations nowadays: those that have been hacked and those that are about to be hacked again. So keep this in mind. Critical milestones, I said, is the business continuity plan, and of course, developing your cybersecurity strategy. Cybersecurity needs to be part of your company culture. When you bring people in, or when you bring experts in, or when you hire your own experts, they're going to do a risk assessment on your technology, on your physical security, on your processes, on your management ability to understand threats, and the culture of your organization. They will do a risk assessment. This is the first thing they're going to do when they come in. And then you will have different deliverables on your IT governance, on your training. It's a process. As I said, it's an ongoing journey that you have to go through. The NIS directive also suggests that you need to have your chief security officer in place. And of course, you need to do different kinds of things going down along on this journey. So obviously, you need your disaster recovery plan, incident response plan, as I said before. And obviously, these people that are going to come in, if you're going to hire people, they're going to do all these different plans and analysis in order to derive the road path forward in order for you to be cyber secure. So I want to end up with this, and I'm finishing now. And thank you very much. I think what you need to get from me and my experience, I can elaborate later on. And I want to be correct on my 20 minutes today. This is an ongoing process. It's a journey. It's a new thing. It can happen. Threats, incidents, and breaches are there. Technology is changing. It's a very speedy train. We need to be proactive. And I wish everybody good luck on this. You shouldn't be scared. We can approach this with different in different ways. I believe it all comes down to us people to make the correct decisions. And I think as cadasters, we are very well ahead than most of the other departments I have noticed in my experience. And I think we can do a good job and sustain everything that comes forward. So thank you very much. And I will let Nuria go on, and thank you for your attention, and feel free to elaborate later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Neocles. It was such a great presentation. First, in your explanation of cybersecurity, which was really clear, and yeah, we learned a lot. And second, on your cases, on your cyber attack in Cyprus, which I think it gives us a lot of lessons, and it's impressive how you use it to build a better system and to come up with really good ideas. I particularly found really interesting the idea of cyber resilience in front of cybersecurity. And yeah, the most critical question, as you said, is to find the balance between between a customers friendly system and a secure system. So I'm sure we can go further on this idea afterwards in the discussion and the panel questions. So thank you again. And then I will now pass it on to Ms. Nuria Raga. She's graduated in law, and she's land registrar in Spain. She has collaborated with the Land Registries Association in Spain in diverse subjects such as data protection, registral studies, and international relations. She has cooperated with the General Directorate of Public Certainty and Public Faith between 2012 and 2014, with the European Land Registries Association between 2017 and 2019, with CINDER between 2012 and 2016, and she's member of the Real Estate Market Advisory Group of the UNECE region currently. So Nuria, the floor is yours.
Sorry, but you're muted.
It is, sorry. Thank you very much, Pilar. Can you see the screen? I'm sharing.
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. So, as we are all on the same boat towards cybersecurity, we are going to see now some other aspects of the same issue. To soften the aridity of this subject, I follow this structure: Land Registry digitalization, Spain state of play, regulatory framework, and cybersecurity in land registry. In Spain, the real estate market finds the information needed for transactions in the property registry or land registry, which is liable for the accuracy of the data. Property registry, previous data analytics, delivers huge amounts of data for decision makers and market researchers. It also exchanges great amounts of data with public administrations for them to obtain essential information to perform their functions when related to land or buildings. It also provides data for national statistics and to fight against money laundering. All this data is held and exchanged online. Besides, Public Corporation of Registrars holds and delivers information not only from land registries, but also from business and movable goods registries. It should be noted that information about tenure rights is available digitally since 2001, and fully digital procedure for the state to recognize the right through registration is in place since 2006. In Spain, with more than 600,000 property exchanges per year, cybersecurity is a major issue. Land Registry, Business Registry, and Movable Goods Registry Public Corporation has consistently opted for the newest technologies to manage data and daily work. This means, up to date, we work completely on digital basis, and we keep paper just at the end of the process, at offices and without delaying processes or rising prices for citizens. But this will change by the 9th of May this year. From that date, we won't keep any paper and all the data will be stored just digitally. Nevertheless, this won't force citizens to access their titles digitally, as they will be able to submit and receive documents paper-based. Similarly, any meeting with a land registrar can be held online or in person. It is up to the citizens. As you can imagine, this situation requires the greatest cybersecurity measures. Land Registry Public Corporation of Registrars in Spain has had for decades a specialized department to face digitalization-derived risks. Regarding the regulatory framework, as an EU member state, Spain follows the EU directives on cybersecurity. Let's take a quick look through it. After COVID crisis, increased digitalization and increased interconnection demanded to strengthen cyber resilience. New challenges and risks had appeared, and the EU Commission proposed a new directive after identifying insufficient cyber resilience of companies operating within the EU, inconsistent resilience among member states and sectors, insufficient common understanding of main threats and challenges, and lack of common response to the crisis. As a consequence, the EU Parliament and Council adopted a new directive on the 14th of December of 2022 on measures for a high common level of cybersecurity across the Union, amending and repealing previous regulation from 2014 and repealing previous directive from 2016. This directive is based in three main pillars, which were also in the base of the previous directive, and they are: first pillar, it is compulsory for each member state to adopt a national strategy of cybersecurity to ease and strengthen cross-sectorial, national level, and cross-border among state cooperation. Second pillar, cooperation group, to enhance and ease strategic cooperation and information exchange. As a third pillar, there is a compulsory adoption of cybersecurity measures in social and economic vital sectors, as we'll see in a moment. Main actors for the national strategy are National Computer Security Incident Response Teams, belonging to an EU network. Also, a National Authority on Cybersecurity, and one national contact point. The Cooperation Group and CISRs assure information exchange that aims to prevent, detect, respond to, or recover from incidents or to mitigate their impact and enhances the level of cybersecurity through raising awareness, impeding the threats to spread, and supporting defensive capabilities. As Neoclis said, attackers do share their victims' vulnerabilities, and the institutions are also sharing the knowledge and expertise to improve their defenses. With reference to the vital social and economic sectors, current directives significantly widen the scope of the vital social and economic sectors and identifies 18 of them. 11 highly critical in Annex 1, which are energy, transport, banking, financial market infrastructures, health, drinking water, wastewater, digital infrastructure, ICT service management, business to business, public administration, and space. There are also 7 other critical sectors in Annex 2: postal and courier services, waste management, manufacture, production and distribution of chemicals, production, processing and distribution of food, manufacturing, digital providers, and research. The directive introduces a range of size to define the entities which are obliged to report incidents to national authorities, although there are exceptions not ruled by size, and the states can identify obliged entities irrespective of their size. The obliged institutions are classified into 2 types: essential and important, with a different supervision regime for each one. The directive aims to solve the shortcomings or deficiencies of the previous regulations, to adapt it to current needs, and to prepare it for the future. These aims will be achieved by coordinating security frameworks, cooperating at union and international level, cybersecurity risk management measures and reporting obligations, jurisdiction criteria based on territory, with some exceptions, registration of entities in a register created and managed by UNECE, information sharing, and supervision and enforcement. On the other hand, the power to adopt delegated acts is conferred on the Commission. We'll just elaborate on the 3 first we've seen. Coordinating security frameworks. Through the following: each member state shall adopt national cybersecurity strategies, design national competent authorities, a single point of contact, and 1 or more computer security incident response teams. All of them within the same member state shall cooperate with each other with regard to the fulfillment of the obligations laid down in this directive. There will be a coordinated vulnerability disclosure and a European vulnerability database. Cooperating at union and international level will be achieved by establishing a cooperation group to strengthen trust and confidence in order to coordinate and facilitate strategic cooperation and information exchange among member states. CSER's network contribute to the development of confidence and trust and promote swift and effective operational cooperation among member states. European Cyber Crisis Liaison Organization Network supports the coordinated management of large-scale cybersecurity incidents and crises at operational level and ensures the regular exchange of relevant information among member states and union institutions, bodies, offices, and agencies. International cooperation through international agreements where appropriate. And lastly, building knowledge by report on the state of cybersecurity in the Union and peer reviews. Regarding cybersecurity risk management measures and reporting obligation, such as ensure that essential and important entities take appropriate and proportionate measures to manage the risk posed to the security of network and information systems. union-level coordinated security risk assessments of critical supply chains, reporting obligations, use of European cybersecurity certification scheme, and all this without imposing or discriminating in favor of the use of a particular type of technology. The directive also encouraged the use of European and international standards and technical specifications relevant to the security of network and information systems. To highlight, there is a list of 10 key elements to be implemented, such as incidents management, security of supply chains, management and diffusion of vulnerabilities, cryptography, and, when appropriate, coding. We have also information flow of significant incidents that comprises initial notification or early warning to national authority or national CSIRT within the first 24 hours since it happened. Operative assessment in order to assure mitigation may be requested together with the notification. Intermediate notification. It is an updating information after 72 hours from the incident. The authorities will prepare an initial assessment. There is also a final report, not later than 1 month after the submission of the incident notification, including detailed description of the incident comprising its severity and impact, type of threat or root cause that is likely to have triggered the incident, applied and ongoing mitigation measures, where applicable, the cross-border impact of the incident. All these steps aim to attend both the need of quick information in order to avoid the spread of incidents and the need of detailed reports to create knowledge and expertise. In addition to compulsory notification, notifications can be also submitted on voluntary basis. It is to note that incidents are understood as significant when they have caused or might cause significant impact on services supply or economic loss or harm to persons or legal entities. To achieve the desired harmonization between member states in this area, the directive includes a list of minimum measures such as warnings, binding instructions, order to cease conducts, to inform, to implement recommendations, and administrative fines, among others. Finally, just to note that the directive is linked and coordinated with other EU initiatives, as regulation on digital operation and resilience for the financial sector, and the directive on the resilience of critical entities. And this coordination and exchange of information between the respective national authorities aims to assure a comprehensive approach to physical and cyber resilience of critical entities. The EU is well aware that cybersecurity is an ongoing project, as Neoclis also told us. So by the 17th of October of 2027, and every 36 months thereafter, the Commission shall review the functioning of this directive and report to the European Parliament and to the Council. The reports shall be accompanied, where necessary, by a legislative proposal. Finally, by the 17th of October of 2024, Member States shall adopt and publish the measures necessary to comply with this directive. They shall immediately inform the Commission thereof, and they shall apply those measures from the same 18th of October of 2024, this year. And now, moving on to cybersecurity in Land Registry, Spain. Security of the information system housed in the different registries is organized and managed by the Information System Service of the Public Corporation of Registrars. A successful strategy to enhance information security and therefore minimize the associated risks is to approach it from all points of view, and implementing different controls or layers of security that manage to reduce the risk to a minimum. In this way, we have implemented several controls and security layers that apply to the security of registry offices straight from the corporation's central services, such as registry private network, internet access security, email security, and warning system based on security events. But it is to know, as Neoclis told us, that a huge amount of breaches come from the organization itself. So let's see these aspects. Registry private network. All registry offices are connected by links from the operator Telefónica through communication lines from its MPLS network and not directly connected to the internet. On these operator lines, the corporation maintains and manages the registry VPN through firewalls from the manufacturer checkpoint. This layer provides integrity, confidentiality, authenticity, and filtering of incoming and outgoing traffic from the offices. Internet access security. Internet access is one of the key points in the office security, since it becomes a potential entry point for malware applications that can compromise office security. To reduce this risk and offer more secure access, the corporation has deployed new generation firewalls that filter traffic to and from the internet. This protection consists on several layers of security, such as network traffic filtering, categorization and filtering of URLs, categorization and filtering of applications by risk levels, and advanced threat protection. This network protection includes several controls, such as antivirus, antibot, execution and emulation of the behavior of downloaded files, etc. Regarding the email security, another key element of office security is mail, since through it we can receive generic malicious messages or even others aimed at compromising the security of the office. In this sense, the corporation has a complete battery of controls and security layers that carry out effective mail protection. Although, as always, when it comes to security issues, it is never enough. In this case, in addition to the protection provided by the perimeter firewalls discussed in the previous point that also apply to mail, there is a system specially dedicated to mail protection from the manufacturer Cisco. This element provides message delivery control based on global IP reputation database, own and dedicated antivirus and anti-spam modules, suspicious behavior detection module based on global email traffic that tries to get ahead of threats based on antivirus signatures, custom filters for sender domain spoofing and marking detection of suspicious messages based on their origin, and analysis and rewriting of the links contained in the messages based on their risk. With reference to the warning system based on the security events, the corporation has a system that centralizes security events that are generated by the systems and network devices. This event aggregator allows the configuration of direct and correlated alerts that are analyzed by the security area and that allows the registries to be informed of possible incidents. To offer this security functionality, we count with the help of S21Sec, a specialized company in cybersecurity services. And we go now to proactive management of problem in Land Registry Office. There are several initiatives underway from the Registrar's Public Corporation Central Services, some of them already implemented, for the proactive detection of possible problems in the registries that may affect the delivery of their services. These are incident management control in the registry's hardware, monitoring the availability of the necessary services for the execution of the corporation tasks, and management of updates on servers and work equipment of the registries by the corporation. Another very important aspect of office security is in their systems, facilities, and personnel, as Neoclis also told us. The local office network, its server and personal equipment must have security measures. Without attempting to be exhaustive in the measures and control, it is essential secure local network with controlled physical access to network devices, isolating the local network of possible wireless access points. Also, updating operating systems. It is vitally important to keep all servers and office work equipment up to date. Indeed, equipment and applications that are not updated or with obsolete operating systems are a prime target of the malicious software. Known vulnerabilities and flaws are the point of entry not only of the equipment in question, but of the security of the entire network. In this sense, it is advisable to act as soon as possible and renew the equipment that does not have at least Windows 10, since Windows 7 is no longer supported as from January 2020. It's also requested an updated antivirus and anti-malware software that allows to complement network security provided by the corporation's central services. They play a very important role in the individual protection of each endpoint device. These next-generation security applications apply various techniques that detect and prevent attacks, including those known as zero-day. Backups, local and outsourced, which guarantee the restoration of information and services in case of any security incident or the equipment itself. And last but not least, staff awareness is an important, essential aspect of maintaining cautious and distrustful attitude of situations and actions that may compromise the security of the entire network at all times. To implement and promote these general measures and other specific ones that may be of interest of you, you can receive advice, help with deployment, and everything in our power from the Spanish Corporation Information Service System to increase general corporate security. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Nuria. That was also a really good presentation. And as you said, another point of view from the same topic is cybersecurity. It was great to see the regulatory framework that affects the EU countries, to see the impact of the new directive of the 14th of December and how it implies many measures for many countries. So I'm sure we will see a great development on this topic in the following months, and that it will be a trending topic, and that we will be able to see new measures, new ways of acting from different countries, and we will be able to also study them in the near future. Also really interesting the Spanish case, and it was great to see concrete measures on a system, on a country, and on each office as well, on our day-to-day work, and also the importance of raising the awareness of the concrete people that works on this to prevent any breaches that can be in cybersecurity. So thank you very much to our two speakers. And now, due to the constraint of time, I'm going to make the two questions that we have pre-established in one. I will first forward them to Mr. Neoclus, and I'll ask you to answer with some lines like in 5 minutes, and then I'll forward them to Nuria as well, and then I'll leave the audience to answer as well, or to give comments on what we have listened. So, Mr. Neoclus, I ask you 2 questions. First, well, although I think some of this you have already answered them, but anyway. First, how can land administrations maintain trust and confidence in their security? What measures, technical and procedural, could land administration implement to maintain the trust of their customers in their security of their personal data? And second, how can land administrations meet evolving threats whilst still maintaining the most of the technological advances available to us? What security issues should land administrations consider when looking at the technological developments, such as artificial intelligence, to deliver better the customer services? So the floor is yours.
Okay, as far as the first question goes, I think trust is the big buzzword we've been dealing for so many years within our land registry and cadastres. And I think trust, I have to be honest with you, it is not mainly a technical thing, as I said in the beginning. So you build trust through the years. Trust is inherent in your system, so it's embedded in your system. So trust comes from, first of all, I would say, from tenant security. And as far as our system goes and the title certificate system, I think the trust is incorporated within our system, and it's been built for many years. So people are very proud of our system, and the fact that we can guarantee the title and we have a fixed boundary system as well, this involves a matter of trust. So trust, I will go furthermore and say, comes through your processes. So it's very important for people outside to understand, and you have to be transparent. This is another world that comes with the correct communication, what I said before. So transparency, people need to know that there is this trust item involved in your day-to-day processes. And of course, it's your results as well, because if you don't have any incidents, it cannot be just the cybersecurity incident, but it could be fraud, it could be anything. So if through your processes, you can prove through your years that you have the correct processes and you don't face such issues, serious issues and regular issues with the matter of trust, I think confidence is being built. As far as the technical aspect of this, I think the technical aspect is there. I mean, Nura described, we have security, all kinds of securities behind our systems nowadays. We try to follow up technology and the security. So the security is another part that you need to be transparent. So you need to let the public know what goes on inside. The public needs to know why you have elevated your security levels and what does that mean. They need to know the balance. In my case, I can tell you every day I get 2 complaints about the security level that we have increased in our DLS portal. There's people that they might spend a week proving that their IP is clear. And they don't prove it to me. They will prove it at the vendor, at the Barracuda client in the US, that their IP is clear. Some people, we demand them to change their IP address. But this should be transparent as well. So people need to know that, yes, there's security measures and we need to follow them. I think also trust is built through being transparent on your cybersecurity strategy and your business continuity plan. So people need to be aware of that. The organization and people within the organization, they need to be aware of this in the first place, because we have 1,000 employees, we have managers, we have complaints. We are making, due to security measures, sometimes we are making life harder for our users as well. And users, security measures, they affect performance. So this is another big issue within our organization as well. So we need to be very sensitive on this. And these are very tough decisions to take. But I think trust comes over the years. It's inherited in your system, in your history. And I go back down to processes, and I think this is very important for me. As far as the new technology comes and AI, you have to be aware that behind every cybersecurity system you put in place, and there's AI hidden behind this. So I will look at it from the point that from the good part of the AI. So all these SOC systems you put, the monitoring systems, behind them there's artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence decides whether this is a phishing scheme, this is a bad email coming in. It's the more things come in, the more you train your models, and this is how cybersecurity works, and the software you put in place. So you have to understand this. If I go on the other side, let's say on the hacker side now, of course these guys they will use AI on our attacking us, and you have to be aware of this. And nowadays you can see all these types of threats are now getting more interesting and more evolving. There's social engineering schemes. I just give some examples. There's password hacking. There's deep fakes. I mean, deep fakes, they might show you something which is completely, it looks like it's your environment and everything is correct, and it looks like it's really positive, and everything is fake. So you have to be aware of all these things. And of course, these new tricks with AI, they can easily harm you unless you have a good, let's say, a defense system in place and understanding all these things. So I think as AI involves, we need to make sure that we need to stay secure. Of course, I go back to what I said in the beginning, and I don't want to be very elaborate on this thing. I do believe that cybersecurity is no longer a technology thing. I believe it's a business issue, and this is how we have to face it. And staying secure in this changing environment, even with artificial intelligence, I think it comes back down to our processes and the way we challenge ourselves and we face this issue. We shouldn't be worrying too much about the technology itself, but let's worry about our processes and how we put our plans forward as organizations to challenge this new evolving threat around us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really good perspective. I I agree as well. I would like now Nuria to reply to these questions as well. Please, Nuria.
Well, with reference to the trust and confidence, although knowing concrete measures that an organization is implementing can enlarge citizens' trust, the publicity will be providing potential attackers valuable information to perform their attack. Due to any security measures, technique, or product have some vulnerabilities. And whether these vulnerabilities are well known, or the attackers, once they know the defensive product, are able to seek for these vulnerabilities and strengthen their attacks. Consequently, information delivered in order to promote trust of the customers should be restricted to the fact that the institution is continuously searching for and implementing the newest cybersecurity measures without specifying which they are. So another tool to increase trust of customers could be independent and periodic audits on cybersecurity measures and publication of the results on procedural and technical aspects. In fact, this is already in place. For instance, with the biannual audit for qualified trust service providers according to the EU regulation. Depending on the result of the audit, the provider might or might not go on providing the services. There are other regular audits already in place regarding data protection, money laundering, or cybersecurity. They are compulsory in Spain according to the National Security Scheme Plan or Program, or ISO, on cybersecurity matters. In short, to maintain trust and confidence, transparency, and independent analysis of procedures of systems are compulsory. It is to highlight in this point that the Commission has recently adopted the first ever European cybersecurity certification scheme in line with the EU Cybersecurity Act. The scheme confers a union-wide set of rules and procedures on how to certify ICT products in their life cycle, and thus make them more trustworthy for users. The voluntary scheme will complement the Cyber Resilient Act that introduces binding cybersecurity requirements for all hardware and software products in the EU. This major step contributes to fostering Europe's global digital leadership, and I'm sure it's going to be used by land registries. There are other measures that could increase trust for customers, such as specialized operational units on cybersecurity. In fact, we have, as we've already seen, we have them in Spain. And regarding the second question, well, land administrations must make the most of technological available advances. Regarding property and tenure rights, we must bear in mind that there is a conflict between contract complexity and the standardization usually required by new technologies. Moreover, we must keep in mind that we are dealing with human rights, as it is the right to property. Hence, we must bear in mind that to some extent, there must be a human intervention. On the other hand, obviously, administrations, like any other organization, must be constantly aware of the technological evolution that is taking place to take advantage of what may be useful to them, but always keeping in mind that technology is a means, not an end. The important thing in itself is not to use a certain technology to be able to say that you are up to date, but to improve the quality of the services provided without loss of rights. In relation to the risk of artificial intelligence, current success of artificial intelligence is based on its improvements to obtain, store, process, and analyze huge amounts of data. Hence, quality of data is essential for AI results. This leads us to some threats, as could be bias. Machine learning also leads to a situation where at some point, human users are not able to know how the machine is reaching a conclusion. So, in summary, this is a broad question that could be developed in a new webinar.
Of course, Nuria. Thank you. Thank you very much. So now I'm going to ask first of all the questions that have been set in the chat. I'm going to go in order. So the first question I'm seeing here, if I'm not wrong, is from Armenia, Ms. Karapetian, and the question is if it is for Nuria, and is saying if it is not risky to keep the information only digitally. Nuria? Oh, yeah.
This is a very difficult question. I must recognize there is a strong debate in Spain about this. My personal opinion is yes, it is highly risky. And that's why I explained that currently, I mean, till the 9th of May, we keep paper just at the end of the process and you could take it as a backup. But the law, the parliament has decided that this storing paper is going to stop. So if nothing changes, even if we think it is risky or if it is not, we are obliged by law. So, but yes, my personal opinion is that it's highly risky due to the current stage of cyber security. Yes.
Thank you, Nuria. Then we have another question by Mr. David Yashvili. Do you want to raise it yourself and you address it to who do you prefer?
Sure, I can. Thank you very much. So first of all, congratulations to both presenters. It was very interesting and congratulations on achievements as well. So my question is related to institutional setup of the land administration system. So what is the role of institutional arrangements for cybersecurity? in different countries of the region has dual systems. So their rights are registered in a different institution and the cadastre in different institution, as well as in some countries, local municipalities are running a property registry. So the question is how important is to have unified system for land administration to achieve cybersecurity. Thank you.
Okay, I can answer this. I mean, David, this is an issue that it was a challenge and an issue that we faced a lot of times, and we tried to answer it during our WPLA conferences and in other boards and as well for so many years. And I will give you a personal experience as Cyprus, because as Cyprus, you know, as I said in the beginning, everything is under one umbrella, and we are one of the, I would say probably the only cadastre land registry which everything is under one umbrella, from tenure to valuation to cartography, survey, registration, and everything is under one umbrella in our department. And I know many of the systems in Europe where everything is spread out. So in different, and usually the land registration, the cadastre, they sit in different places, as well as the valuation part and others. If you think it practical wise and without making any arrangements, obviously having everything under one umbrella, I think technically I can see it's much easier. So you have one system. You don't need to duplicate. You don't need to duplicate effort every time you need to do an upgrade or anything else. And when a new directive comes, you know that you have more control and everything is under one umbrella. And of course, we can go on the other side as well. I think because having everything under one umbrella, everything becomes very big after that. I mean, when you try to have, let's say, a technical upgrade, I mean, you have a very huge project and you need to split down your projects in, let's say, different projects. You can do that within your organization. But I think overall, throughout the years, I believe that, let's say, implementing directives and different frameworks and policies, I think having it all under your umbrella, because you are in control of your own stuff. And as far as I can tell you our own examples, I mean, a big part of our IT sits outside our control, because we have a separate department from the Department of Information Technology of the government. I mean, they are responsible for the network. We are not in charge of the government network, let's say. And you have to understand that all these systems, that they work fragmented, they have different parameters. And this was the hardest part. When we faced the incident, the hardest part, I have to let you know, it was parameterization between different vendors, different technologies, and different parts of the government that they were responsible for different things. This was the most difficult part to control. If everything was under our umbrella and we have control of our network, of our everything, it would have been much more easier. So when you are faced with an attack, because this is what we are talking now, my experience shows that when you have it all under one umbrella, it's much easier to control. Less people to worry about, less vendors, less stakeholders. So as far as the institutional arrangement down the road, I believe that although there's different techniques now, I mean, even you mentioned about authorities that are in the municipalities. I mean, there's communication technologies and connecting people together have been more friendly for the last years. I mean, there's APIs, there's different things that we communicate now. But still, I believe when you have everything under one roof, you will sleep better at night. This is my idea. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to read another question which goes under this one, and then I'll give the floor to Nuria to go to answer this both questions. So Mr. Andreas Hadraftis says that, expanding on David's question, if it is more risky to maintain a unified system where all components and all functions are maintained under this, registration, cadastre, valuation, etc. I just wanted to read out loud, although we're talking about this already. So please, Nuria.
I think that this might be much more complex than the aspects we are considering, because tenure rights are related and strongly joined to history, culture of the country or region. In fact, the EU at the beginning let apart the competence to regulate on property rights. Although it's each time more often it's harmonizing rules, for instance, regarding land registries and cadastres. So I think the question is not only what is more efficient to be kept secure in cybersecurity terms, but also the quality of the service we provide, and because would it be feasible to design the same system for all the countries? I think at this point of history, not yet. So maybe we should start by what we are doing, harmonizing standards, rules, requisites, measures to achieve and to implement cybersecurity. Because any system has its vulnerabilities, but at UNECE it has been studied under our reports, which is the desirable or the best system, and the conclusion is not clear. So I think technology is already here, and we need to take it and to implement it currently in the systems we have. And there are spaces where land administration institutions discuss this kind of things, for instance, at the European Land Registry Association. And I think we learn from each other, we exchange expertise, and this is the way to be in the path of some kind of or level of harmonization.
I think if I can expand on Mr. Hajrafti's, which is correct, these are part of the pros and cons of having a unified system. But think about it. I mean, when you have a unified system and everything is unified, and we have to understand the term unified. I mean, obviously, having a system down, then the whole system goes down, somebody would say. And these are part of the pros and cons. I mean, the trick behind having a unified system is that behind that unified system, I think your technologies should be kind of separated. I mean, one should not affect the other. So a lot of things and a lot of the technical details we enforce in many of our systems which are integrated. We make sure that we have the possibilities that we will not let the hacker go through our door and see everything in front of him. So there are all these solutions we take so that parts of the system are not affected. And these are not an easy thing to do, but obviously you don't want to have all your system down in one day, all your legal, fiscal, GIS. So you need to take precautions and make the necessary technical details so that your systems are up without one affecting the other, obviously.
And if I may, also unifying the system might harm somehow the service you deliver, because the processes are not the same when we are talking about physical aspects or juridical aspects. I mean, the steps needed to take the decision are different, the training you need. So it's also a point to take in mind.
Thank you both. I'm going to raise one last question due to 1 minute to go. From Mr. Matthew Daw about incident response plans. He asks, what have presenters organizations included in the IRPs? Do these include playbooks and guidance on specific types of incidents? Is it important to have a separate cyber IRP, or is it acceptable to incorporate this into business continuity plans? So whoever wants to reply.
Okay, I think, Matthew, this is, I think now with the NIS directives and the questions we all have of what goes on in Europe, especially this year and last year, and what are our responsibilities, I think all these questions are still unanswered because there's a big gray area on this. And this, I have been asking our Digital Security Authority for the last 6 to 8 months on replying on this question especially. obviously, there are some guidelines on what you include on your IRP, and we try to follow, but these are not, let's say, strictly, you shouldn't strictly adhere, I think, and this is the gray area with the NIS, the first one, and with the NIS 2 now. So, and what I told them, I said that they believe, I said that they need a separate cyber IRP. This, as far as I understood from our Digital Security Authority in Cyprus and our CCERT, to be specific. So they need a separate cyber IRP, and they have gone to different vendors as well, where there is a special way of a certain structure on this IRP. In my opinion, though, I think it could be a more generic, and it should be acceptable to incorporate this into your business continuity plan, because between all these plans, and I will tell you, and I will finish with this, there's so many plans out. At the end of the day, we cannot just have all these people just doing plans, because when you go down on an incident, no plan works. And this is what I can tell you from experience. Even if you have the best business continuity plan, the best IRP, you have to understand that during the threat and the incident, nothing works. So it needs to be generic. It needs to be there. It's a high-level framework, but they shouldn't be strict with us unless I believe the directive will not be put in place, and it will take many years for all these organizations to involve them. It would take a lot of money, and at the end of the day, I don't know who is going to use it. So this is the critical thing to answer.
Well, little to add. Just to say that, as I told before, by the end of October, the EU member states will present the concrete measures they've adopted according to the new directive, and maybe we could elaborate on this later on with more information on the table.
Thank you so much to both of you. I'm reading here. I'm reading here one last comment we have here. I don't know if Mina wants to make a summary or a comment, or if the presenters want to read it from here. I don't know. I can give you the floor if you want to.
The presentation, thank you. And I'm offering, if you're interested in having hacker presentation of our work, I think that's related to both presenters today. So there's some lessons to learn for every day. So that's why I think if there's chance to later offer that kind of, so we'll able to do that. Thank you.
I think, Mina, any ready work that has been done by another organization is useful because we have a lot of work to do in front of us, and we need a lot of vendors to come in. So any work that is pretty much ready, as far as planning, as far as the incident response plans, the BCP plans, and all this, I think is more than welcome if you could share it with the community.
Yeah, we've done that for years, but I think this hacking is so new thing, so it's worth to hire them inside to your organization. So that's what we've been doing.
Yes, thank you so much, Mina. Yeah, the experience, I think, in this matter, as in all, but mainly in this matter, we have a lot to learn once from the others, and we will see how it keeps developing in the following months and years. That for sure is going to be a great development. So we're 5 minutes out of time, but I really appreciate all your, well, first of all, the speakers, of course, for the great presentations, and also the audience for their great questions and comments and everything. This is recorded, we will post all the presentations and the recording in our webpage. We will then follow with a publication that will have a chapter on cybersecurity based on this webinar. So feel free to write us with any comments, any other case studies, or or issues that or concerns that you have in mind. And yeah, thank you all, and see you soon in our next workshop or webinar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you both.